Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your trio phenom SP3. We are live again on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for AEW Full Gear 2021 preview and predictions. I am here this month with a very special guest. She is doing a whole bunch of big things. I've seen her on almost all of my favorite YouTube channels, whether it be Fightful Wrestling, Mark Order podcast. She's doing great things all across the board in wrestling media. She was even the host of the Evolution version of the Distraction podcast. Kate Hensler, thank you for joining me.
I'm very, very happy to be here. You did mention the Mark Order podcast. My voice is a little sore because I was doing like a Rock Jericho impression for a good deal of last night's episode. Just really fries the vocal cords, a whole new respect for him because yelling that way hurts. But I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for the kind words. And it's nice to be with you on not like a fake media call for somebody else's podcast. This is the first time we've had a chance to actually talk. So
Exactly. We're just recurring characters over on the Distraction podcast, and we never intermingle. It's like the two characters that went out with like two members of the Friends cast, but they never interacted themselves. That's kind of us.
That's basically been us. So it's nice to actually get to talk to you and talk professional wrestling with you instead of the long-term storytelling that goes on elsewhere. But very happy to be here this morning.
I love how that our first conversation with each other before we went live. See, we pull back the curtain here on the pay-per-view previews, but was just our conversation on how it is to be a heel in wrestling media and the struggles that we go through. So we're already connecting on a higher level.
We are, and this could be the most heelish thing of all if you deny this, but you said I was a bigger heel, that you're too nice of a guy. Now, if you were to deny that right now, that might make you a bigger heel than me. So this is
I never said that.
Curses, I should have been recording.
You should have thought ahead of time before you put me on the spot. But no, we are going to put Kate on the spot, myself on the spot, and all of you in the live chat. We want to hear your thoughts, your predictions for AEW Full Gear. Kate, how excited are you for the show on Saturday?
Oh, man. Very excited because my favorite wrestler since I started watching was CM Punk. I started watching in 2009. Yes, I know that was very late for someone to get into wrestling, but he was my favorite. And then my favorite wrestler since that person has gone away has been Eddie Kingston. So for me, this is a dream match. I didn't think we were going to get to that fast. And also, ultimately, the resolution of this Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega story that has been brewing for 2 years, kind of longer than 2 years, kind of longer than the company's even been in existence, which is pretty cool. So just very, very excited about a lot of the matches on this card.
Yes, we're going to talk about how we got to some of these matches as well as get your predictions. We want to hear from all of you in the live chat on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Let us know your predictions for the show. Surprise debuts. We got that Salah saying Jonah Reed debuts at Full Gear. So that's what, before we get to any matches, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Kate. What surprise return, if any, do you think we're going to get at Full Gear on Saturday?
I think a recently defeated Kenny Omega turns around to find Okada waiting for him.
You know, my New Japan heart just grew 10 sizes larger. That is my all-time favorite match. If we get it in AEW, I'd be so happy. I would travel and go see it wherever it is. I bought my Madison Square Garden ticket in 2018, before 2019, thinking that I was going to get it there, and then they robbed me of it. But
oh, man. So they owe you this, really?
So it better be in New York so I don't have to travel. That's what I want.
There you go. I will say I had two co-hosts that think CM Punk defeats Eddie Kingston or loses to him to turn around and find Kenta, and a very similar idea and get met with a hell of a go to sleep. I could also see that playing out too. But for me, I think Omega needs to maybe go heal up that body a little bit, and I think Okada should be the guy to send him to do it based on their history and their actually in real life relationship too. Now that things seem to be opening up a little bit between Japan and America, it seems like it is. We've seen a little bit more of a crossover. Minoru Suzuki was just hanging out here for a month kicking people's butts. So I'm going to go with Okada meets Kenny Omega. But I still want that closing shot to be Adam Page with the belt. But I want that to work out somehow.
She's like, I want both, but
I want both.
you know, somewhere in the middle.
They're obsessed with picture-in-picture at AEW, so figure it out.
the restaurant quality picture-in-picture. You mean? I'm gonna say recently released new free agents. We're gonna get at Full Gear. Lucha Bros beat FTR. I'm giving away one of my predictions, and then they turn around and they meet the Briscoes. Briscoes and Lucha Bros. I think we're gonna get that confrontation with the Briscoes debuting.
Man. I don't hate that at all. I love the Briscoes. I love ROH so much. But that seems like something they've been teasing online. That would be a really cool spot for it.
Yeah, it should be, and we should be seeing maybe some Ring of Honor talent coming into AEW soon. But let's get into the matches at hand. Once again, live chat. Oh, your super chat donations are always appreciated. Make sure we highlight your comment here, and remember to drop a thumbs up on the video as well. But let's start off hot. You said you're into this matchup more than anything, pretty much. So it's the match that everyone is hyped for. CM Punk will go one-on-one with Eddie Kingston. This all started when Kingston was defeated in the World Title Eliminator tournament to Bryan Danielson. After the match, he was frustrated. He saw CM Punk in an interview smiling and laughing at him, so got into a confrontation. And that built up to a face-to-face promo exchange, which was the best promo of 2021 in my opinion. Just felt so real, so authentic. These guys getting in each other's face. Kingston feeling like Punk has always been a narcissistic SOB that has always looked down on him, while CM Punk called Eddie Kingston a bum. He called him a bum, ladies and gentlemen. How could he? Kingston responded by saying that no one wants you in AEW, but I'm the only one that has the balls to say it. And it's building up to this Saturday. We got a small confrontation on Dynamite last night with Eddie Kingston hilariously running across the parking lot. I haven't laughed that much at a wrestling show in quite some time. But Kate, Kingston, Punk, who wins on Saturday?
So this one has made me feel like it could really go either way. And this one has made me feel like really either of them could emerge a face or a heel. I'm going to go with Punk. The reason I'm leaning into that is because Eddie Kingston did say something about, I don't care whether or not I win or lose. I'm just here to beat the hell out of you. So when someone doesn't care about a victory, I feel like they rarely get it. But Eddie Kingston is so beloved by this crowd. It's hard to remember that he hasn't been there since day one, the way the people that rally around him, the way he's always sniffing around a title picture. So I think he is going to have his time, but I don't think Punk's first loss is to Eddie here. I do think maybe this is a feud that continues until Punk. I'll spoil my later prediction. I think Punk is going to face Adam Page as a straight edge brat versus a drunk cowboy at some point. Maybe this feud continues until then. I hope they run this one back selfishly because they're two of my favorite wrestlers.
See, this is how you know Kate is on her game today and being a true heel because she's already fantasy booking. And I was already prepared to fantasy book as well. But I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think that Punk gets the victory. I have been seeing a lot of people saying that Kingston needs to win this one. No, as a New Yorker, Eddie Kingston's story is to have big matches and keep losing until eventually he gets the one big victory. Like, you want to know why people still to this day talk about Tommy Dreamer and Raven? Is because Tommy Dreamer and Raven versed 100 times, Raven won 99 times, and Tommy Dreamer won the last time. That's why people remember it, and that's the story of Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston is AEW's Tommy Dreamer in a lot of ways. Kingston and Moxley is just Dreamer and Sandman for AEW, in my opinion.
I love that comparison. That's perfectly said. And part of why Eddie doesn't need those wins is because he's going to get a title run someday. He doesn't need a title to make things feel incredibly personal and important because he's so good on the mic. And I don't want to underestimate him in the ring. He's fantastic in the ring and an incredible in-ring storyteller. Like every move, every facial expression, he's 100% there telling the story. That's why I love him so much. But yeah, he's not a guy that needs a title, which I think is very rare when you don't have like an out of this world gimmick. Like when you're not doing something supernatural, it's hard to establish yourself as someone who doesn't necessarily need a title, but he's going to get it someday. I just don't think it's coming right now or leading to that right now, where I think it could be for Punk.
We're still building, but this is another big matchup for him, which I'm looking forward to. And Eddie Kingston, I always will have the memory the first time that I ever went to a wrestling event with my significant other. Eddie Kingston was at a church in Brooklyn. Eddie Kingston was on the side of the church smoking a cigarette, and I said, "Hey, Eddie." He was like, "I'll see you for the show." That was my one interaction with him when I was first dating my wife now. So just great stuff.
Gosh.
Great stuff. Eddie Kingston will always be New York's favorite wrestler, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And just to put over his article on the Players Tribune.
Yes.
Please go seek that out and read that if you hadn't. I think it's really important when maybe the most badass person in wrestling, maybe tied with Brock Lesnar, is talking so vulnerably about his mental health and the struggles he's been through. If being tough could beat some of this stuff, he would have been able to do it, right? And he wasn't. So he had to seek out help. Just a very, very important voice in pro wrestling, and a fantastically written article on the Players Tribune from him.
I totally agree with you. That is a must read 100%. I had a great time just reading it because it's such a captivating story. We got Victor Nash in the live chat saying CM Punk wins and stay undefeated. We got a question here from Jeff Samuel saying, "Hi SP3 and Kate, do you see Jake Hager turn heel and join American Top Team?"
I don't see him turning heel and joining American Top Team, but I do think maybe they're setting up some sort of MMA crossover through this angle, doing a cross promotion with Bellator and with Lambert. I don't think he turns heel here, but I think this kayfabe angle is being used to set up a real life fight.
I could see it as well. And let's talk about that match, which it seems like this is on the other end of the spectrum of Punk and Kingston. I haven't heard a lot of people anticipating this one, but it's a 5-on-5 Minneapolis street fight as the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz will verse the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, and American Top Teams, Junior Del Santos, Andrei Arlovski, and Dan Lambert. And of course, Dan Lambert was put in this match courtesy of Sammy Guevara defeating Ethan Page to pick the members of American Top Team. This rivalry has been very divisive among fans thanks to Chris Jericho's promo content against Paige Van Sant. Paige Van Sant has been great during this. We've seen Junior Del Santos wrestle, but what have you thought about this overall feud, Kate, and who do you think wins on Saturday?
So it's kind of mind-blowing because if you are in a live crowd and you've seen this angle play out, it is really, really, really over. It is not at all over in my living room. I haven't really understood this from the beginning. I'm not the target demographic for any of the like MMA crossover stuff. I hate work shoot fights. Like it's just not for me. And I have been extremely critical of Jericho's promo content because it feels like recycled Attitude Era stuff that has not been updated, in my opinion. This is for some people. I also feel like from a wrestling perspective outside of taste, like that's taste of me just not liking it. What it's doing is holding back members of the Inner Circle. I think it's really holding back Santana and Ortiz. They should be in line for those tag titles and they should be taking them at some point in the near-ish future, I would hope. And it's definitely holding back Sammy Guevara's reign. Like he had this huge victory against Miro. There hasn't been a lot of movement with it because of this. So I feel like the Inner Circle is holding people back more than it's pushing them forward. That said, I think Paige Van Zant is a star. I think she's hopefully going to get her moment against Jericho, which is weird because you shouldn't be rooting for the heel in that situation, but I'm ready to see her kick the ever living crap out of him. But I think the Inner Circle walks away with the victory because for God's sake, hopefully this angle finally ends.
I think that's why everyone's going to be rooting for the Inner Circle, just to end this rivalry. They have been a kind of a mess this year. Like, they started off the year with the MJF angle, transitioning into the feud with the Pinnacle. But it seems like ever since they started the feud with the blow off and Blood and Guts, it's been kind of downhill for as far as the Inner Circle as a unit. Sammy's had his highlights, Santana and Ortiz, even Jericho with the MJF feud, but yeah, it just hasn't been all there. But I totally agree with you. Inner Circle to get the victory. Before we get to Inner Circle versus American Top Team, Punk versus Kingston on the main card, there's going to be the buy-in, as it's going to be a women's tag team matchup. Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter versus Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida. These are going to be the quarterfinal matches in the TBS Women's Title Tournament. Who do you think wins on the buy-in between Rosa and Shida or Rose and Hayter?
So initially, I was thinking it would be Thunder Rosa and Shida, but now I'm starting to think there might be some sort of Britt Baker beatdown on Thunder Rosa that costs them, or Serena Deeb could come out and attack Shida. There's a lot of animosity toward those two backstage right now. So I'm going to break with Hayter and Nyla. I also think it's good for Hayter to have a win before she goes into the next round against Thunder Rosa for this TBS title tournament. So to make her look like a viable contender, because I think she's probably going to lose to Thunder Rosa, that I think it's good to make her look strong, at least going into it. So I'm going to say Jamie and Nyla, reversing my predictions that I made like 12 hours ago.
This is what I will disagree with you. I can, and ever it's a prediction show, and Thunder Rosa is an opportunity for me to pick Thunder Rosa. I'm picking Thunder Rosa.
Listen, I can't argue with that, man. She is incredible. That, I think it was a cross body or a frog splash. I can't remember, but that she planted on Hayter in yesterday's episode of Dynamite was like, holy cow. I'm so glad to see her back on my television after recovering from that concussion, but what an ass kicker.
That bump that Jamie Hayter took on the outside was ridiculous. And I think they're going to have a really good matchup in the TBS title tournament, but I just can't see, Shida losing right now, because I believe Shida will lose to Nyla in the tournament. And I can't see Thunder Rosa losing right now, because the AEW has made it very obvious that Ty Conti, the Chris Statlanders of the world are just challengers for the month, and the end game is Baker and Rosa. They've been focusing on that the last couple of weeks, it seems.
Which I love seeing long-term storytelling in the women's division. I complained about it for like 18 months, so I have to give props when they're doing it right.
They're finally doing it right. But this was predicted when I saw the card, and I was like, none of these matches seemed like it would be on the buy-in. I was like, they're probably going to just make a random women's match as the buy-in match. And sure enough, that's what they did. That's exactly what they did.
We always end up here somehow.
Another tag team match that's going to be on the main card, though, is going to be Cody Rhodes, the most controversial figure in AEW, teaming up with Pac to verse Malakai Black and Andrade El Idolo. These had made a dream team of sorts with Black and El Idolo, with the two men having history, of course, in WWE. Malakai Black has been feuding with Cody Rhodes since his arrival in AEW all the way back in July. He's beaten Cody twice. Cody beat them in their last encounter following a distraction from Andrade. Andrade has been feuding with Pac. So it's like two major feuds combined together here. Kate, I will ask you, what do you think about the Cody Rhodes character, the John Cena 2.0 kind of shtick that he's going with right now? And who do you think wins between Pac and Cody versus Andrade and Malakai?
So this one has been interesting because I understand people's complaints with the promo that Cody gave that kind of unanticipatedly turned him heel. I think part of why this more organic heel turn seems to be happening is a few things. One, I think it was really hard to cheer against Malakai Black because he's so damn cool. So being in a feud with him was like, that was such a fantastic feud, but you just want to root for that guy even though he's a heel. So naturally, I think you boo the other guy. The other thing is, I think we're supposed to buy into this idea now that at Arthur Ashe, Brandy came back and she came out the heel tunnel, which to me says they're playing into this. They're at least acknowledging it if not playing into a full heel turn. I think eventually you're going to see Cody absolutely lose it and tell everybody that, like, he gave them everything they could have asked for. He's the reason that this promotion exists. He gave them the pay-per-view before this promotion exists. That is going to be an all-time promo. And
I agree.
Leaning into that, I think, would be such a wise idea from them. In this match, I think Andrade really needs some W's. I think he's been a little slow out the gate. I think part of that is, my guess is that they were probably thinking about bringing in Ric Flair to manage him. Obviously, some real life things came to light that prevented that from moving forward, and he was just waffling a little bit there. I don't think Chavo Guerrero was necessarily the right move. No offense to him. He actually did a great job. It just wasn't really catching. So if he's going into the House of Black, that rules, in my opinion. Andrade is one of the most effortlessly cool dudes in the world. I think Cody is going to keep losing until he absolutely loses it himself. And I think the House of Black is going to keep growing and get creepier and creepier. And I don't know if there's anybody with a better sense of wrestling to lead a stable than Malakai Black. This guy is such a nuanced storyteller. He's so creative, and he does this incredible thing where he's able to take something that feels otherworldly, this idea that he's the devil with amnesia. He did something real bad, but he doesn't remember what it was, and make it feel really accessible, as opposed to a lot of those supernatural characters that we see in wrestling where you appreciate that they're out of this world, but they're definitely out of this world. He's got one foot in both, and I love that, and is extremely difficult to do. So give him the entire roster, in my opinion. This has been such a fun thing to see him in AEW.
And if the result of all of this is Malakai Black versus Pac, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
They're going to kick the crap out of each other.
Give us the match we should have got when the WWE came to the UK when they did the debut of Aleister Black. This was the match that we should have got. So I look forward to that. I'm going to agree. I think Andrade and Malakai Black need the victory a little bit more here. And yes, if it furthers Cody Rhodes in this more delusional heel role that he is, the delusional heel that thinks he's a babyface, then I'm all for that as well. And if we can get Pac versus Cody Rhodes out of this, I wouldn't mind that also. So let's hear from you guys in the live chat who you think's going to win, Pac and Cody versus Black and Andrade. We got Victor Nash saying House of Black wins with FTR's help. That's been an interesting little tidbit in this whole story here. What have you been thinking about House of Black working with the Pinnacle the last couple of weeks? I mean, well, not House of Black, well, more Andrade. Andrade giving the dinero and the pesos to the Pinnacle.
Well, I mean, they are the greatest luchadors of all time. Respect where it's due. But I think this is great. I like it when they set up everybody wins situations in wrestling for people. Like MJF got his money out of this. FTR is getting help. Andrade is looking good. So I think setting up a triangle where everybody wins is a very logical thing for heels to do if they are going to work with each other. It's also a great way to eventually set up the Pinnacle versus House of Black at some point if the stable does keep growing. I don't think House of Black loses anything by turning face if it's the right type of face, because everybody absolutely loves them anyway. So
might as well just embrace it.
Yeah.
Next, we got a 6-man tag team matchup that's going to be Falls Count Anywhere. It's going to be the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, the Super Click, versus Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, the Jurassic Express, and Christian Cage. This has been going on ever since All Out. The ending of All Out saw Adam Cole debut in AEW, giving Jungle Boy a super kick to realign with the members of the Elite. The Super Click have been running high ever since then, firing on all cylinders, taking out each of the baby faces until they returned last week on Dynamite with Christian delivering a concerto to Adam Cole to heat things up heading into this Falls Count Anywhere matchup. I think this match is going to be tremendous. It's going to be awesome, but who comes out with the victory, Kate?
And what a concerto it was, by the way. Holy cow. I think the heels are going to come out victors here. I think you want to keep building Adam Cole up. If you've gone to a live show, you probably have noticed that Adam Cole is maybe a louder reaction than Punk, than Danielson. It's wild, the pop that he gets. And as soon as he gets that pop, we're back to buying into the fact that he's a heel. It's just for that entrance. It's so great. After last night, I was leaning heels anyway. After what they're setting up with Bobby Fish, I'm even more confident in that prediction. And I'm also a little confident that Kyle O'Reilly is on his way out of of WWE when his contract expires. That is not something I know. A lot of people like to think that I know things because I work at Fightful. I don't work on editorial. I just come on podcasts and blab. I promise. I don't have any scoops. But the handwriting is on the wall with what they set up last night for Kyle O'Reilly to enter this picture. And even though Kyle O'Reilly and Gargano worked SmackDown the other day, we all know how well Cole's meeting went when he went to SmackDown for that. So I think this is, you want to keep those heels looking strong. Young Bucks already dropped the tag titles. You want these guys to stay together for a reason. And there's just so many places this can go. I think this match is going to be incredible. And I also noticed the graphic that you had up. It said Cole and not Budge, which is weird. But
I thought that was just his name.
Happen. Yeah, but
it's all right.
So
it's all right. They're getting it through. They're just clearing it with the copyright and the trademarking, and then
that's right. Then he'll just be Budge.
We got a question here. Randy Sam saying, SP3, you hear Nick Jackson is working injured. Yes, he had a bruised heel, I believe, was the injury. He was talking about it on BTE, but he's been cleared to wrestle, and what a match he's going to be in to come back and wrestle. I think the Super Click get the victory here. They need to move on. This is another feud that's kind of getting long in the tooth. I would like to see another Jungle Boy Adam Cole match for sure, but I 100% agree with Kate. They are already sowing the seed so well between the Halloween match where Omega wasn't tagging in Cole and Cole was distracting Omega to do the Super Click kiss with the Young Bucks, to what we saw yesterday with Bobby Fish. I think we are going to have Adam Cole. He's trying to take down the Elite from the inside, and we get the UE in AEW, the undisputed Elite of Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Adam Cole. That needs to happen.
Love that. And I also had thrown out there just having them team as Red Dragon and Adam Cole being this child of divorce, not knowing who his friends are over there. Like, I think that could be so fun. There's so many angles you could play with this. Owen's contract is also up in January, so if he were to end up coming to AEW, there's Mount Rushmore waiting for him. This is what's kind of so fun too about I'm so sick of the Forbidden Door, but essentially all the cross promotion between these different federations, that you could pull New Japan talent into this angle because of the Bullet Club. Like, acknowledging the history that happened before AEW existed makes this so interesting, and acknowledging, that Bobby Fish was somewhere else. They definitely said in an era that has not been disputed yesterday on AEW television. So it's just great. It makes these angles so interesting because you're right. With these stable feuds, they have a propensity to drag them out a little bit too much. But man, when that blow off happens, you could put them so many other places. Like, these stories just go on to the next logical thing. So that could very well happen in here.
The best idea I've heard for Adam Cole is that they do like weeks and weeks of like a wrestling bachelor reality show with Adam Cole having the Elite, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, having OGK, since they're available now, yes. Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. You got Cole, Fish and O'Reilly for Undisputed Era, like all, and then Kevin Steen comes in for Mount Rushmore. So it's like all of his stables, with the Rose, all of his stables trying to take him in. He's like the popular kid at the orphanage that all the parents want to get. Like, that's Adam Cole. I would love it, honestly.
That's so good. That's a BTE sketch in the making. I love it.
It's coming. They heard us now.
There it is.
Next, Kate, we got to talk about another feud that I feel like they have done a excellent job building up to Full Gear with, and that is MJF going one-on-one with Darby Allin. This two guys have been feuding ever since the September 29th AEW Dynamite, where MJF came out and started talking about the 4 pillars of AEW with himself Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin. He has beaten the other two, but he has never faced Darby Allin in AEW. He said that he would mentally break down Darby. They took him down physically with the Pinnacle jumping Darby Allin, taking him out for a number of weeks. They also attacked Sting a couple of weeks ago until Darby Allin returned with his trench coat, looking like Inspector Gadget meets Raphael from Ninja Turtles 1, and tried to go after MJF. They got into a brawl last week. Very cool, very well shot brawl with the camera angle of Darby parting the Red Sea was excellent. But this has been very well, but they didn't even need to be on Dynamite last night. They just showed the video package because they was like, the work has already been done. Kate, what have you been thinking about this feud, and who do you think wins on Saturday?
So I'll just give a shout out real quick to my Mark Order co-host Matt, because he started calling him Darby Avant-Garde with all of his videos. Like, and I can't not think to call him that anytime now. It just makes me laugh so hard. But Darby Avant-Garde, this is such a classic feud, right? You have like kind of the high school bully versus the outcast. Yes, they've been feuding since September 29th, but MJF had previous called him like a 12-pound emo kid or something beforehand. So this is just a perfect thing that you knew was going to collide at some point. Love MJF putting him over, calling him one of the four pillars, and just kind of like skipping over the fact that he hasn't had a singles win over him. But yeah, I think MJF comes out of this with the victory. I could see this one going either way, but you know, it's funny. I heard somebody say that there's like definitely a top of the card in AEW, but not really a mid card because it just doesn't feel like a step down. This is a great example of that. I'm going with MJF here just because I feel like he's going to get closer to a title picture at some point, but this could really go either way, and I would be happy.
Yeah, there's a lot of those matches, especially when we go to the top of the card where either person can win. We talked about that with Punk and Kingston, and this is definitely another one where I can see it going either way. But because of the promo MJF cut last week, I think Darby Allin gets the victory with a headlock takeover. I think he's gonna do it. He's gonna beat him with a headlock takeover, prove he's the better wrestler. MJF can probably get his win back, maybe on a special of Dynamite, because I feel like either Revolution or Double or Nothing, MJF wins the AEW World Championship. That's my fantasy booking. That's what I'm going for.
I will say if Darby wins, I think we also get a Wardlow face turn after this, and that's the next program. I think we've started to see seeds of that. Maybe he costs MJF in some way. Maybe he accidentally costs MJF in some way, and that's why MJF is now pissed. I kind of want to change my prediction, but I'll stick with where I was going for the sake of we disagree on something, and that's a good thing for a predictions podcast as opposed to people that constantly agree with each other. But I think a Wardlow face turn, especially after the match squash that we saw last night, is coming down the pike, and we're going to get that blow off.
Yeah, because even though he was the monster heel, he was definitely playing towards the crowd. So they are like kind of building the Batista 2004 run before he eventually turned babyface in 2005.
As long as it's not like a deacon, I'm good with that.
Praise the Lord for that. Vataslala says Darby wins this week. MJF wins the decider, so kind of going under the same belief I have. Mixap saying MJF wins, and kills me to say this guy is such a prick. When Shanna Baby saying MJF is better than you. So pretty simple. It's pretty simple stuff.
And I know it. So
and Vape Ross Vape saying it's Kate. Hi Kate.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for joining us in the middle of the day.
and thank you for your super chat donation. Always appreciated. But let's get to the next match here for the AEW Women's World Championship. Kate is going to be Ty Conti getting her opportunity against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Ty Conti got to the number one spot in the AEW Women's World Championship contender ranking, getting victories over the Bunny, Penelope Ford. Britt Baker defeated Anna Jay a couple of weeks ago on Rampage, and Ty came out to make the save, making her challenge official. This is, like I said, has felt like a challenger of the month type of feud. They haven't put much effort into this one, but I do think the ladies are going to perform very well with each other. Britt Baker has been improving more than probably anyone in wrestling over the past year and a half. And Ty Conti is a completely different performer than when she was in the warehouse collecting dust, or as others like to call it, the PC. Conti has looked much better under AEW. So who do you think wins here?
Well, because we were off screen when you said her name, I'll just do the DMD finger thing here because it is automatic. I did it off screen as well, but you can't say DMD and not point down. I do think that she is going to take the victory here and retain. I think Tay Conti's a star. I think she's a future champion. You alluded to it before, though. I think that Rhodes is going to be the one to get that belt off of her. One thing that I have appreciated is even in matches like last night, which was a 6-woman match, the story has been something that they've been building out. We've been getting a lot of hot shotting, but this at least, well, it does feel like a challenger of the month situation, had some real effort to a story behind it, which is something that has been lacking in my opinion. Britt walking away yesterday scared to go into this match was such an important moment. It made it feel like Tay Conti is a viable contender, which she absolutely is. She's incredibly likable. I actually saw her at a house show in like somewhere in Miami and Florida, and she was a fantastic heel as well. Tay Conti was. She was like killing it, mimicking other people. She really has a good handle for this. She and Deonna Purrazzo are huge misses for WWE. I get it because that NXT women's division was absolutely stacked. Sometimes you are just overwhelmed, but 2 stars that they definitely missed out on. I'm happy that they get to be on my TV every week, so I will take it, but I think DMD is retaining to keep her championship at this pay-per-view.
This is unanimous. I'm also going with Britt Baker. Like I said, the end game is Rosa, which I think will happen at Revolution, and that will be the biggest AEW Women's World Championship matchup of all time. But right now, Britt needs to hold on to the title. But yeah, I do agree with you. Ty can do anything very well. She's still improving, but as long as she gets these type of matches, these big opportunities, I think we're going to see her keep going down the right path. Another championship matchup that we have to get to is for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It's going to be the Lucha Bros defending against FTR. Last year at Full Gear, FTR lost the AEW World Tag Team titles to the Young Bucks. They've waited a whole year before they got another opportunity. It was the Lucha Bros who defeated the Young Bucks at All Out inside a steel cage to win those titles. The FTR defeated the Lucha Bros to win the AAA World Tag Team titles, so they have a little bit of momentum heading into this one. This should be a nice little styles clash with the Lucha Libre high flying style of the Lucha Bros versus the old school 80s tag team vibes of FTR. Who do you think wins here, Kate?
This one I feel like could go either way because I think you could have FTR be transitional champions to somebody else if you wanted, but I'm going to stick with the Lucha Brothers. I think it's been well established in the AEW tag team division and probably all of wrestling, truly, that FTR and the Young Bucks are the best tag teams in the world for what they do. And for the Lucha Brothers to beat both of them, I think cements that story really, really nicely. So I'm going Lucha Brothers. I wouldn't be mad about an FTR victory, but I'm going to stick with the Lucha Bros for this. And they are over as hell live. My goodness.
Anywhere you go, the Lucha Bros are very popular. I've seen them live plenty of times, and yes, it's very loud when you hear that Zero Miro for sure. Badasal saying Lucha Bros win. We also got Ross Vape saying FTR should win. I'm gonna agree with Kate though. I think the Lucha Bros need to retain here. Yes, we're gonna eventually get a short AEW World Tag Team title run, but I don't think that needs to be the Lucha Bros. FTR got their run already. I think that we need to build to Lucha Bros versus Proud and Powerful. Make it happen. Impact showed you the way. They showed you that can be your main event program like they did in Impact. They can do the same in AEW. I'm going to be in Minneapolis on Saturday, and I was hoping I would get to see Lucha Bros and Santana and Ortiz here, but I know FTR and Lucha Bros will deliver though.
Absolutely. And watch the parking lots in Minneapolis and the streets because there's just street fights breaking out all over that town apparently. So
There you go. That's why the Inner Circle and American Top Team is having a Minneapolis street fight. They're trying
That's
to
right.
mirror what's going on in real life out
Watch
there.
yourself. I don't want you getting clobbered. And we all know what the AEW parking lot looks like. They really need some security out there. The NXT parking lot, same thing on Tuesday nights. They gotta solidify some security situations around these parking lots in wrestling.
You might see a random Eddie Kingston running at you, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. Oh goodness.
We got AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament Finals is going to be Bryan Danielson going one-on-one with God's favorite contender, the Redeemer, Miro. It was Bryan Danielson defeating Dustin Rhodes and Eddie Kingston to get to the finals. Miro, on the other hand, he got a bye because Jon Moxley was supposed to verse Orange Cassidy in the semifinals. Of course, Moxley made the decision to go to inpatient alcohol treatment program, and we want to commend Moxley for that and send our best wishes to him and his family. And then it was Miro who replaced Moxley, defeating Orange Cassidy last week to get an opportunity to become God's favorite champion again. His promo last night was masterful. It was a masterpiece. I need you to say goodbye to your wife so I can say hello to mine. Miro versus Danielson. Who's going to be the number one contender, Kate?
This is a tough one because I think Adam Page having his first win as a champion being over Bryan Danielson would mean a lot. And it's very impressive how much Bryan Danielson has come into this company and in a short time reminded everyone that he's one of, if not the best in the world to do this. Please give us him versus Jonathan Gresham wrestling gods, please, please, please. But I am going to go with Miro here for a few reasons. One, it just makes sense from a heel versus face perspective. And two, I think there's just a fantastic story to be had here with Miro, where if he loses his shot at another title, he just goes absolutely freaking ballistic and gets progressively more vicious. Maybe we do see Lana to try and rein him in, but Miro versus Hangman is a money match. It's something that makes sense for the story. I think they've done an incredible job of having to shift gears, pun now very much intended. It wasn't, and then I thought about that. This was called Full Gear, and now it's a fully intended pun. So that's for you. But they've had to switch gears in this tournament because of Moxley making the brave and correct choice to go take care of himself and enter a treatment facility. But I think the way that they've executed it has felt like there has been no hiccups in this at all, really. I think it's going to be Miro versus Hangman. I'm not mad if it goes the other way at all, but yeah, I'm going to go heel, losing his absolute mind after he loses to a cowboy.
Yeah, Miro has always been very charismatic. That's why the Rusev Day got over the way it did in WWE. But I didn't know he had the potential to become my favorite character in all of professional wrestling. His promos on God are some of the best things that I've heard in wrestling this year. Like I'm gonna celebrate my win with my God above me and my wife on her knee.
My God, my hot, flexible wife. And we haven't really seen God in action since, tagging against the McMahons with HBK in years. So it's just nice for God to have this comeback run in AEW as well. So props to God for all of this. But this is the Miro we knew was hidden. Everybody wants to say in WWE, but I think out the gate too, for me, the gamer angle wasn't totally it. That was another angle that just dragged on a really long time as well. I forget what they called the fight that they ended up having, but with all the arcade games.
Arcade Anarchy, yeah.
Anarchy, of course, there's some alliteration in it. That was really fun, and Chris Statlander returned there in a really fun way, so I liked that, but this is the Miro that we knew was waiting there, and it's okay that it took a minute to get there. Not everybody has to come in the perfect version of themselves right away. This has been really, really great. His TNT title run, I can't say enough about it because I think he made the title feel important and the title made him feel important. What an incredible thing to have happen in a title run. Like, that's the best case scenario for one, right? So I'm going with Miro here. Keep going down this path, you crazy, crazy, God-fearing, God-loving, God yourself man.
I fear for God if Miro loses here. It's hard for me to think about Bryan Danielson losing just yet, because he's been on such a great run, 8-0, 8 different finishes. This dude won with a tequila sunrise yesterday against Rocky Romero. Like, he's just pulling out all his submission moves and using it brilliantly. It's kind of an act and a shtick that Jonathan Gresham created with the Pure Wrestling Championship run that he had this year and last year. But Miro needs to win. This would be Moxley's role to win here because they did tease Moxley and Page in the casino ladder match. So, but since Moxley is out, Miro needs to be the guy to win, because although Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page would be amazing, and Hangman beating Bryan Danielson would mean a lot, it would take cheers away from Hangman, and I don't think you want to do that with his first defense. So Miro
That's a
and
very
Hangman.
good point. Yeah,
Miro,
and they're very good at protected losses in general, so I don't know if there's a distraction. They're very good at protected losses without being overly schmozzy with finishes. This might be a place where you see a Kip Sabian return as well, so we'll throw that in the surprise pool. I just thought of it, so it's a surprise to me too. That's why I didn't mention it at the top.
I didn't even remember that. That is a good shout right there. We got Ross Vape saying this Miro scares me. Shayna Baby saying Hangman is definitely get the window. We also got Shayna Baby saying Omega is my favorite though. So she's conflicted. She's conflicting heading into Saturday, which is a good setup for us to get to the main event. It is going to be for the AEW World Championship. Kenny Omega defending against Hangman Page. This has been building for 2 years since the start of AEW, when Hangman Page cut a promo saying that he would become the AEW World Champion at their first ever pep rally. He won the Casino Battle Royale at Double or Nothing 2019 to get in the first match for the AEW World Championship, which he lost to Chris Jericho at All Out 2019. He had a crisis of confidence. He didn't think he was worthy of his fans, his friends, the elite. He tried to turn his back on them, but the mutual failures of Omega and Page made them a tag team. They won the AEW World Tag Team titles, went on a magical 8-month run with the championships, having great matches with the Young Bucks, Private Party, every single tag team they went against. It was a banger. But they broke up after they lost the AEW World Tag Team titles at All Out 2020. They versed each other in the World Title Eliminator last year at Full Gear, with Kenny winning and then moving on to verse Jon Moxley at Winter is Coming and winning the AEW World Championship, and then becoming this evil heel belt collector along with the elite, the Young Bucks, who also turned heel. So Hangman said it best. They went out to change the world, and the world changed all of them in different ways. Hangman has become a drinker. He's become best friends with the Dark Order. He had time off after they lost a 10-man tag that prevented him from getting a shot at Omega's AEW World title, and then came back, won the Casino ladder match to get the opportunity he's been looking for. So here we are, 2 years in the making, one of the longest builds of any world title match in well over 2 decades. Who do you think walks out with the title on Saturday, Kate?
Okay, first of all, this man is a professional because he just summarized 2 years of storytelling effortlessly, and it didn't even take like 25 minutes. Well played, sir. I would still be talking for 40 minutes if it was on me to summarize that feud, but
I could have said a lot more, but
it's unreal. This has been such a fantastic textbook pro wrestling story. I'm so in love with it. I'm ready to see it move on, but I'm not ready to see it end. What a wonderful, wonderful feud we've had with this. Great promos last night to make it go home as well. Kenny just getting away from comedic stuff and being really vicious. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I think Hangman, you got to give us the satisfaction. A lot of people are like, no, that's predictable. Predictable is fine when it's good. I'll take it all day. Hangman Adam Page is walking out of Full Gear, your new AEW champion. And I'm going to throw out what I said earlier. I'm hoping that Okada is waiting for Omega and that Omega gets some well-deserved time off.
He does deserve some time off. His body is beaten. He's been, working for Impact, AAA, AEW. He deserves some time off. I don't think it's going to be Okada that sends Omega on his way. I think that We're going to have Hangman get the victory here. Hangman rides off in the sunset. We end Full Gear with like Hangman doing like his Undertaker American Badass leaving the arena entrance, but he's on a horse and he lifts the title and we just see his back and we see him on the horse. Like that's just, I feel like that's just the perfect ending. That's how you end the show. Then on Dynamite next week, the Elite said they want to do it like a celebration for Omega's, you know, title run, trying to make him feel better. And the Elite turns on Kenny Omega, or we have the Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, whichever. I think it's better if the Elite turns on Kenny Omega, all three of them together, because then it would make it more for Adam Cole to then turn on the Young Bucks. So I think that's how they do it. They kick him out of the Elite on Dynamite next week.
I love that. I'm not mad about that. Not mad about that at all. A lot of really fun directions you can go with this. Like, it's just when you have a program that's so stable heavy with clear logical storytelling, you can go in multiple directions and they all make sense, which makes being a pro wrestling fan real fun.
Absolutely. And this has been so much fun, Kate. I am so happy we were finally able to share the screen together and we had a grand old time. I laughed a lot. Thank you.
I'm glad you laughed a lot. I did too. Thanks for buying into my cheesy puns. I appreciate it. And I'm really glad we got to do this too. Last time you asked me to do a predictions, I was on the Jericho cruise. So I'm glad that I could make this one. This was really fun.
No, you were awesome. And you're doing a lot of great things all over wrestling media. So please let the people know where they can find you, where they can support you, and what you got going on the rest of the week, Kate.
This might take a minute because I am doing a lot of things this week, but was very happy to be here. Was on the Mark Order Pod, which I'm on every Wednesday. Last night, we had a great time there. Tuesdays, I do Sour Graps with Alex Pulowski immediately following NXT. We wear a lot of costumes. We lose our minds. Come hang out. It's a really blast of a time. And then on Fridays, Sean Ross Sapp and I do the AEW Rampage SmackDown post show immediately following that. So this week, I'm everywhere. And then Monday, for just one appearance, not every week, I'm with Joey Bag of Donuts, a Steelers fan, which I also am, and a wrestling fan. We're going to talk reactions to Full Gear. So there'll be some receipts from doing a prediction show that I'm going to have to answer on Monday, but I'll take it. And you can follow me at Kate on Deck IC on Twitter as well, where I'm mostly tweeting about wrestling and baseball and tacos. So come hang out.
My type of Twitter page right there. Definitely support Kate. She is great. She's awesome. The biggest heel in wrestling media. I take a back seat to Kate. I'll be 1B to Kate.
You could be at my stable. We'll build out a stable. It's perfect.
That's awesome. Even though your stable's going against my boys at the Distraction for Survivor Series, but we could talk about that another time. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at True Heel SP3. I'll be right back here on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel tomorrow following SmackDown and Rampage. I'm going to be popping in for a short. I won't be here in full HD because I'll be in Minneapolis for Rampage, but I'll pop in after the event and let you know the live experience there. And of course, you can follow Sportskeeda Wrestling on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. They'll be going live following Full Gear on Saturday. So there's a lot of AEW Full Gear content to enjoy. I want to thank Kate so much for joining me. She was an awesome co-host. You guys were all awesome in the live chat. I'll go through a couple of your last bit of comments here. We got Victor Nash saying the Cowboy, Hangman, Adam Page wins, Cowboy.
Poop emoji.
Poop emoji. Yeah, I was like, I wanted to say the word, but Meg Sapp saying it's almost 3 years. Actually, he said at first press conference he'd be champion. Can you believe AEW's been around for almost 3 years now? It's crazy.
Man, that's why. Yeah, that's right. Holy cow.
Shayna Baby saying I'm gonna cry. I love Kenny. It's gonna be a bittersweet moment where Hangman Page to win, but we are both rooting for that. For Kate, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We hope you all enjoy Full Gear on Saturday. For everyone, we are signing off until next time.